I think they do. We do need some healthcare reform, and I think what we need to do is probably something along the lines of what they do with Medicare, which is, after you turn 62, you get government subsidized healthcare. And taxpayer money is what pays for it, and by paying into Social Security, we pay for it. I know that would probably mean we'd have to raise taxes, but I think something like Medicare that would be extended all the way to everybody, I think would probably be a good way to go, and it probably would be less expensive if we did it that way, but it still would cost taxpayers money. But then again, if you want services, you're gonna have to pay for them. So yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
And come out of your pocket sometime.
Eventually, one way or another.
Right.
So.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Mr. Hart.
Need healthcare reform, and if so, how should it be done?
Well, I believe that America does need healthcare reform. I think it should take a cue from Canada and start maybe some universal healthcare, which will take a lot more money out of our taxpayers, but I still believe that's what needs to be done. That's it.
All right, thank you very much, Cole. Mr. Getty, does America need healthcare reform, and if so, what can be done to help it?
I definitely believe America needs health care reform. We're one of the richest countries in the world, and we have too many little kids who aren't able to get health care. I think it's criminal that kids can't go and get their teeth taken care of or get eyeglasses if they need it, or people are sick and can't get the medicine that they need. Now, how to solve that problem, that's a hard problem to solve. The quick fix, you could say we need to raise taxes and have the government take it over, but I don't really know if having the government in charge of stuff is number one way to get things done. I like when things are done by private little doctors and people have choices what to do. Now, whether that's done through some sort of voucher system or like Medicare-ish kind of thing, I don't know the best way, because I do know doctors are hurting right now, the ones that are in private practice, because everything costs so much. I think something has to happen with the insurance industry and with the way lawsuits are dealt with. I think part of the problem holding back healthcare is things cost so much because of lawsuits and things that have nothing to do with providing service to people. But, I don't know. I do believe something needs to happen, and hopefully somebody smarter than me has better ideas, but we need to look at it together.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Getty.
You're welcome.
There is some kind of reform that needs to occur within the healthcare in the United States. The gaps between the elderly receiving care, the lower economics individuals in our nation, the middle class individuals, everyone. And there's so many different types of healthcare that's provided at different levels. So in a perfect world, everybody would be covered equally with the same type of importance put on the health of individuals. However, healthcare has now become more of a business where it is run by the insurance companies, the lawyers, everyone looking to making money. So it's going away from, okay, let's try to save a life, to what's the cost now of operating on this person? Is this person fallen into a category because of their risks, their health risks, because of their other ailments? And I think that's pretty scary when we sit down and think about that. We're just putting on a price tag on people's lives. What are we really looking at? Are we looking at to save your life, to do what's best for you? Or are we doing what's best to save money so that we can make a profit? So I think we need to address that issue. How that's going to play out and come about, if I knew that answer, I guess I'd be someplace else. But I don't know. It's a tough situation. It's a hard sell of trying to refocus everything away from, hey, this is a business, how are we going to take advantage of certain people and so forth, to actually genuinely caring about people's lives.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Hayden, does America need healthcare reform? And if so, what can be done to help it?
Wow, pretty broad topic. I think so. I think that it's probably one of the most expensive parts to anybody's life, and I think that on one hand, the Constitution and certainly in the Declaration of Independence that said we've got to take care of our citizens, and that's a primary. If you haven't got a physical body, not going to do much good to be free and independent and able to have all the other rights of being an American. So yeah, I think it's absolutely essential. Suggestions for it? I think we're going to have to bite the bullet. I think we're going to have to pay more taxes. I think we're going to have to pay more for it. I'm not happy about it. It's expensive, but there's a bit of a trade-off. If the government is helping us pay for health care, we don't have to pay for it out of our pocket. So there may be a balancing out, but it's going to be expensive. There's a lot of people out there that are desperate for it.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can go on. I'm an English teacher. I got another 20 minutes.
I'm
No, I'm
going to take
kidding.
it. Okay.
Once I do have a little bit of story, if you haven't turned off the.
Oh, yeah.
Once upon a time, I was just out of college in my first job, and I didn't have any benefits, and I was too old to get any benefits from my parents. And I had I was riding a bicycle, the chain broke, and it was on gravel, and I had a huge slice of my knee. Went to the hospital, and then I had to pay for that out of my pocket, and it was huge. It was a couple of $1,000s, as I recall, and boy, that hit me hard, and I realized that there's a whole strata of people out there that don't have insurance, and it's not just for those few years until they get into a job that has insurance. It could be for the rest of their life, and that's got to hit the rest of the economy. It's not like we can't afford health care. We can't afford not to have it.
Right.
That's good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely need healthcare reform. There are just a totally unacceptable number of Americans who have either no health insurance or really inadequate health insurance. Some of the ideas that have been proposed in recent years just don't make sense. Like, for instance, President Bush felt that we should have, that each individual American should have a health care account, that we should have a savings account to build up for any sort of health emergencies we would have. Anybody who's been in the hospital in recent years knows that you can blow through literally thousands of dollars in one day if you have a major illness or injury. So the idea that we could save up enough to do that on our own without insurance is just silly. The best way it would appear to do this is to go ahead and have a nationally sponsored program that people can opt into or not. Some people prefer private health care coverage. They feel that they would have more choice about who their doctor is and what procedures they could have access to and such if they have private insurance. And that should certainly still be available, but for an awful lot of people who don't have a job that would cover that, or simply don't have the means for it, we need to have some sort of a government-sponsored program that, because of the number of people who would access it, could go ahead and provide the coverage at a much reduced price over the private health insurance companies. The way that it's been done in Canada seems to work fairly well. Some of the European countries have a system that seems to work quite well. And we need to really investigate that and move in that direction.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
I believe, Eric, that America needs big-time healthcare reform. We need to be able to give our citizens healthcare, period. And I think a way to get there would be to eliminate some of these insurance companies that stand between the doctors and their patients and get back to the old way we used to do business, where you went to your family doctor, he prescribed whatever that you needed, you got your prescriptions filled, or you followed through with his recommendations without having to have approval from insurance companies who are not in the business of medical. They're not doctors. They are in business to make money. And unfortunately, the American people are carrying the brunt end of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Swin.
You're welcome.